Holy oh, hold on, what the is that? I don't know, but from here it looks like it was put in the ground upside down. This just is creeping me out, big time.
From the eerie glimpse of a shadowy figure slipping through moonlit trees to the spine-tingling discovery of massive handprints pressed into the forest floor, this expedition uncovers evidence that challenges everything we know. And here's everything you need to know about it. A mysterious sighting in the woods. Around 3 a.m., with the full moon casting an eerie glow, Dr. Mireya Mayor, Russell Acord, and Ronny LeBlanc make their way through the dense forest. The air is still, their footsteps barely audible over the soft rustling of leaves. Suddenly, they notice movement in the distance, a quick flash of something moving fast and disappearing into the trees. It's gone almost as soon as they see it, leaving the trio awestruck and compelled to go deeper into the woods to investigate. The first handprint, evidence of something big. Pushing deeper into the forest, they come upon a massive handprint embedded in the soft ground. Ronny studies it in silence, realizing it's unlike any animal print they've ever encountered. Mireya carefully places her own hand over it, demonstrating how small her hand is by comparison. This handprint is larger than a human hand by far and has an unusual shape.
Take a look at this.
Oh, wow.
Up here?
Oh, yeah. The hand, oh my God.
Do you see that?
Those fingers look long as hell, dude. Whoa.
Then, another discovery catches their attention. A set of knuckle impressions close to the first handprint. The placement and size of the prints give rise to an interesting theory. Ronny notes that these markings could indicate that Bigfoot, if it exists, might not only walk upright on two legs but could also go down on all fours, possibly to move more efficiently through dense terrain. The group considers this possibility seriously, as these new impressions align with similar findings from previous excursions. Examining the knuckle impressions. The team treads carefully, examining each knuckle mark scattered across the ground. They're impressed by how distinct these markings are, closely resembling ape knuckles. Observing the size and depth of the knuckle prints, they can't help but imagine a creature of significant size pulling itself through the forest, likely navigating rough patches with ease. These impressions seem fresh, as though the creature may have passed through not long before their arrival, adding to the tension and excitement. Russell recalls hearing of similar handprint and knuckle sightings from other researchers, making this discovery especially compelling. He notes that past findings often included only fleeting signs, broken branches or partial prints that were easily dismissed.
This is buried upside down in the ground, and we really haven't seen that except for places like Alaska.
There it is. Oh my God.
That's weird.
That is weird.
But here, they found more than just one or two isolated prints. This feels like solid, undeniable evidence of something unknown. The skull discovery. Mireya remembers a peculiar find from their previous expedition, a skull that had a strange blend of human and ape-like features. Examined by their forensic scientist, the skull revealed an unusual opening at its base, suggesting that the creature could possibly walk upright like a human, yet still have the ability to move on all fours like an ape. The mixed traits seemed like a distinct indicator of an unknown creature, one that shares qualities with both humans and large apes. Some researchers believe that these skeletal features could hint at a lineage connecting Bigfoot to the ancient Gigantopithecus. This extinct primate, which lived in Southeast Asia millions of years ago, stood nearly 10 feet tall and was likely a herbivore, although much of its behavior remains speculative due to limited fossil evidence. Cryptozoologist Grover Krantz, who dedicated decades to studying Bigfoot phenomena, argued that the Gigantopithecus lineage might have migrated to North America across the Bering Land Bridge. Krantz posited that Bigfoot sightings could be remnants of this ancient species' descendants, having adapted to the American wilderness over millennia. According to him, the large bones and distinct hand structures attributed to Bigfoot align with what we know about Gigantopithecus, potentially bridging myth with evolutionary history. As the team absorbed the significance of their discovery, they couldn't help but reflect on the rich history of Bigfoot sightings in the area. The creature's elusive nature and its deep roots in regional folklore suggest a mysterious presence long woven into the wilderness.
We're in something's territory, and having two nests this close to each other, we could be looking at a family group.
The team's findings aren't isolated. The legend of Bigfoot is steeped in centuries-old lore. Reports of a large, hairy creature resembling Bigfoot date back to Native American tribes, such as the Tsatsils in Western Canada, who speak of Sask ETs, meaning wild man. Similar legends abound across the Pacific Northwest, where early settlers and miners reported encounters with wild men and large, mysterious footprints along logging trails. In 1958, the discovery of unusually large tracks near Bluff Creek, California, gained national attention, sparking a media frenzy that cemented Bigfoot as a modern icon of the unknown. Adding to this mystery, physical evidence, including casts of enormous footprints and handprints, has been found over decades, though authenticity remains debated. These artifacts and tales hint at a creature with extraordinary capabilities to remain hidden despite its size. Each eerie discovery has only intensified public fascination, drawing cryptozoologists and skeptics alike to remote woods, eager to glimpse the creature that blurs the line between myth and reality. Reflecting on that skull now, Mireya sees these fresh handprints and knuckle marks as potentially linked to the skull's hybrid traits. This combination of prints and knuckle impressions seems to confirm that the creature, if it exists, has a unique skeletal structure, allowing it to move both bipedally and quadrupedally, adapting to the demands of its environment. Unsettling finds in the wilderness. As they continue their search, the team finds themselves surrounded by more impressions and markings. Mireya notes how unsettling it is to find markings that are so distinctly animalistic yet unknown, and Ronny agrees. This particular handprint, combined with the knuckle marks, seems to exhibit characteristics too deliberate to belong to any known forest creature. The group recalls that while they've encountered strange impressions and footprints before, none have felt as definitive as what they're finding now. These new prints feel different, clear, large, and intentional. The forest around them is heavy with silence as they press on. Each print or impression adds to the eerie feeling that they're close to uncovering something that has been hiding in the shadows of these woods. To the team's astonishment, they soon come across another critical piece of evidence: footprints scattered across the forest floor. They examine these prints carefully, noting the length and depth that hint at a creature with both weight and agility. Unlike other more ambiguous footprints they've encountered, these feel like definitive proof of something large that has recently moved through the area. As Mireya takes a closer look at the arrangement of the prints, she's reminded of similar sightings recorded by other teams. These footprints, however, seem especially clear and fresh, as if they belong to the same creature that left the handprints and knuckle marks. With so many physical markers gathered in one area, the team feels as if they're on the verge of confirming the existence of something extraordinary. In the moonlit woods, the team uncovers even more curious signs. A large footprint followed closely by a distinct right-hand print. The prints seem to indicate the direction the creature was heading, as if it was moving forward on all fours. Mireya, Russell, and Ronny are stunned by this discovery. Not only is there one clear set of prints, but they find two separate sets, each with a footprint and a handprint. They realize they may be following not one, but possibly two different creatures. To confirm the dimensions and details, the team decides to scan the prints and send the images back to Bryce, who is stationed at the command center for analysis. Bryce's analysis and new discoveries. As Bryce receives the scans from the team, he examines the images closely. The massive handprints, which appear nearly twice the size of Mireya's, are particularly shocking. Bryce confirms to Mireya and the team over radio that they're dealing with two distinct sets of handprints, hinting at the presence of multiple creatures. Despite these interesting findings, the scientific community largely remains skeptical about Bigfoot's existence due to the absence of biological evidence, such as bones, DNA, or confirmed photographic proof. Many argue that if a creature of such size existed, there would be clearer evidence by now. However, this lack of evidence only adds to Bigfoot's allure, keeping the legend alive and attracting both dedicated researchers and curious fans. The mystery has a cultural appeal that resonates with people who enjoy the idea of undiscovered wonders in a modern world where so much has been mapped and explained. For enthusiasts, The mystery of Bigfoot embodies a rare chance to connect with nature and the unknown, compelling expeditions like these to seek answers. Even as scientists express doubt, the excitement and mythology surrounding Bigfoot have kept the legend alive, driving new discoveries and further deepening the interest. Eager to help with tracking, Bryce and John set up a drone station, outfitting the drone with a thermal sensing camera for an aerial scan of the area. The drone soars into the night, and they scan for any unusual heat signatures in the dense, shadowy forest. The drone's thermal camera soon picks up a heat signature, distinctly bipedal and unmistakably larger than any human. The shape appears to be moving fast, making it difficult for the drone to keep up. As the figure flickers in and out on the screen, Bryce becomes tense, switching from the thermal view to a regular camera lens in hopes of capturing a clearer image. Yet, within seconds, the heat signature vanishes as if it had never been there, blending seamlessly into the surrounding wilderness. Tracking the heat signature along the river. As the team tries to process the sudden disappearance, Bryce alerts Mireya, Russell, and Ronny about the heat signature's location. It appeared near a river a few miles upstream from their current position. The sighting reignites the team's drive, and Mireya requests real-time updates on the figure's movements. As Bryce continues monitoring the drone's feed, he notices the creature's heat signature briefly reappear, moving quickly upstream along the river toward higher ground. John provides the team with critical geographical insights, explaining that the river leads to a glacier. Mireya and Russell agree to head in that direction, believing the creature might be following a natural path toward the higher, colder area. Meanwhile, Ronny pursues a parallel path along the other side of the river, hoping to intercept the creature if it crosses back over, closing in on the target. The atmosphere grows increasingly tense as Mireya, Russell, and Ronny close in on the glacier area. The forest feels heavier, the silence thick, as if something were watching them from the shadows. With each step, they feel the anticipation build, knowing they could be on the brink of a major discovery. Suddenly, Ronny spots movement in the distance through the dense brush. Something is indeed moving, and it's large enough to make its way through the foliage with noticeable force. The team holds their breath, wondering if they're about to finally come face to face with the mysterious creature. The team continues their pursuit, determined to uncover the truth about what they've been tracking in the wilderness. The team, caught up in a tense silence, zooms in on the thermal camera feed as they catch a fleeting view of a large bipedal figure darting through the trees. The heat signature suggests a humanoid form, though its rapid, seemingly calculated movements keep slipping from view. With each shift, the creature evades them, staying at the edge of their sight. Bryce instructs John to switch from the thermal to a regular lens to capture a clearer image, hoping to track any trace of it in normal light. But as the camera adjusts, it reveals nothing. The creature has vanished as if it was never there. Tracking the creature's path. Upstream, alerted by Bryce's communication, Mireya and Russell quickly adjust their course, now determined to keep pace with this mysterious figure moving upstream. Mireya asks Bryce where the path might lead, and he and John examine a topographic map of the area. They realize that the river's path gradually climbs in elevation, leading to a glacier nestled in higher terrain. This discovery pushes the team forward with even greater urgency. They are now tracking the creature's path directly, pressing onward as they navigate rough, uneven forest ground. This potential destination raises even more questions. Why is the creature heading for the glacier? Could it be some form of retreat or a hiding spot? On the opposite side of the river, Ronny is moving alone, vigilant for any movement. The dense foliage dampens most sound, yet he hears a distinct, heavy rustling behind him. His heart pounds as he freezes, aware that whatever he's hearing is too substantial to be ordinary wildlife. He radios Bryce, requesting backup, and within moments, Bryce sends the drone over to scan the area. The drone's thermal sensors reveal a massive form in the tree line, partly obscured but unmistakable. Ronny waits, tension mounting as the figure moves, then abruptly stops, standing motionless among the shadows. The drone's pursuit. Bryce radios Ronny, relaying that the creature appears roughly 200 yards away and moving in his direction. Ronny's heart races as he tries to locate the source, his gaze flicking through the dense vegetation. The drone captures the figure shifting again, moving deeper into the trees with a deliberate yet swift pace. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the creature vanishes from the camera's view, leaving an empty silence behind. The drone's sensors pick up nothing further, and the atmosphere feels thick with anticipation. Ronny stays rooted to the spot, unsure if the creature is still nearby or if it's once again slipped into the forest's shadows. The entire team remains on edge as Bryce scans the feed, hoping to catch another glimpse. Russell's discovery along the mountain slope. Meanwhile, Russell is exploring a rugged southwestern slope, the quiet broken only by his cautious footsteps. As he scans the area, he notices a tree branch broken at an unusual angle, as if something large and strong had forced its way through. A few steps farther along, he stops in awe. A fresh, enormous footprint embedded in the soft earth. The size is remarkable, far beyond the dimensions of any known animal in the region, and the print is deeply pressed, indicating significant weight. The discovery confirms that he is on the right path. Russell decides to continue, knowing he must come back to analyze the print later. This newly found evidence suggests something truly unusual in their midst. It's a reminder of the strength and size of what they're tracking, reinforcing the sense of mystery and danger with every step. As Russell ventures deeper into the forest, he comes upon a small clearing. There, in the fresh soil, are 3 distinct footprints grouped close together. The tracks appear smaller than the previous print, suggesting a different creature or possibly a younger counterpart. Russell feels a sense of unease and curiosity. The unusual arrangement and proximity of the tracks hint at an entirely different aspect of the creature's behavior or even a group. He takes a mental note of the clearing's location, marking it for later, and pushes forward. The discovery of these smaller prints challenges the initial assumptions of a single creature, sparking more questions than answers as he continues on the elusive trail, discovering evidence of a juvenile. As Russell examines the new set of tracks, he notices something unusual. The footprints are significantly smaller than the previous ones, too small for an adult. He deduces they must belong to a juvenile. Eager to document this rare find, Russell reaches for his radio to contact Bryce, but he's met with only static. Isolated in the growing silence, the atmosphere shifts ominously as heavy rain begins to pour, threatening to erase the tracks before he can capture evidence. With the rain accelerating, Russell knows casting the prints is risky in these wet conditions. However, the potential significance of this discovery pushes him onward. He is determined to preserve these prints, believing they could prove that something is rearing its young in these woods. As he works to secure the prints, he notices one of them is larger than the others, a possible indication that an adult was with the juvenile. With his hands muddy and the rain relentless, Russell finishes casting the new prints before circling back to the larger one he discovered earlier. The mysterious cabin. That evening, Russell, still cut off from the team and stranded on the island, follows the strange tracks leading him deeper into the wilderness. The trail takes him to an old, decaying cabin in an isolated part of the forest. Its site is eerie, not just because of the dilapidated state, but the unnatural quiet surrounding it. The cabin's dark, vacant windows feel like empty, staring eyes in the gathering shadows, giving Russell an unshakable sense of foreboding. Stepping inside, Russell is hit by the smell of decay. Dust and cobwebs blanket the room, and the wood creaks underfoot, as if bearing the weight of decades. The stale air and the general disrepair suggest the cabin was likely built around the 1940s or 1950s, abandoned and forgotten long ago. Despite the sense of dread growing within him, Russell recognizes he has few options.
I'm following tracks from this upside-down tree, and I find this cabin.
I bet this is from the 40s or 50s. This is old. This is really old.
It hasn't been used in a very, very long time.
The cold has intensified, and he needs shelter for the night. He inspects the cabin, relieved to find that despite its age, the structure is still sound and will provide protection against the elements. Inside the cabin, Russell's exploration of the cabin reveals hints of its past. Among the scattered relics, he finds old tools and scraps, as if someone had once tried to carve out a life here. The walls bear faded markings, perhaps from someone who'd called this place home many years ago. He realizes he's stepping into an untold story, one layered with mystery, perhaps forgotten by everyone but the forest itself. Russell and his cameraman set up near the only entry point, keeping a vigilant watch on the door. Despite his exhaustion, Russell can't shake the feeling that something in the forest is watching him. A night of disturbance. As they settle down, the weight of exhaustion finally starts to catch up with them. However, any thoughts of rest quickly dissipate when, in the dead of night, a sudden loud bang shatters the silence, coming from the window. Russell jolts awake, his pulse racing as he grabs his flashlight and dashes outside, hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever, or whoever, had disturbed their night. The forest around the cabin is silent, with only the trees swaying under the cloudy sky. Whatever hit the window has vanished into the darkness, but Russell's instincts scream that it wasn't a random encounter. It was something purposeful, perhaps even hostile. The silence in the forest grows heavier, as Russell realizes the isolation of the cabin might not be the refuge he thought. Gathering his gear, he and his cameraman quickly and quietly exit, choosing the open forest over whatever might be lurking nearby. As they retreat, Russell's instincts scream that the disturbance was no accident. It was a clear warning. With each step away, he vows to end the expedition at dawn.
Encounters beyond the ordinary. At the start of the year, a video popped up online showing a camper who had set up his campsite deep in the woods on his own land. The exact location wasn't shared, but we know he lives in the northern United States. To keep an eye on his camp when he wasn't there, he placed a trail camera on a tree. Every now and then, he'd come back to check the camera to see what it had picked up. Most of the time, it was just the usual, a curious deer or other animals wandering by. But this time, what he found on the footage left him shocked and quickly caught everyone's attention. As the footage played on his laptop, the usual parade of woodland creatures abruptly halted, replaced by an eerie stillness that enveloped the night air. The video showed a large, shadowy figure that looked like a Sasquatch, throwing a big tree branch at the camper's tent. When you look closely, the creature had thick, dark fur, wide shoulders, and a massive head, much larger than any person's. The tent nearby, which was around 4 or 5 feet tall, about the size of a small tent for 1 or 2 people, made the creature look enormous, probably about 8 or 9 feet tall. The video itself wasn't long, possibly because the camera's memory was full, or because it only records for a few seconds when it detects movement. Even though it was short, the video was still very captivating. People wondered why the creature was so upset. It could be that the man had unknowingly set up his camp in a spot that the Bigfoot saw as its own territory. After this eerie encounter, the camper decided to move his tent to a different part of the forest, hoping to avoid any more confrontations with the creature. Later on, a lone hiker had a similar experience while walking through a huge pine-filled forest. The hiker had been enjoying the beauty of the wilderness and lost track of time, wandering deeper and deeper into a thickly wooded area. The forest was so dense with trees that it was tough for him to see through to the other side. Suddenly, a loud noise came from beyond the thick woods. Thinking it might be a large animal, he quickly pulled out his phone to record. But what he captured was far more unsettling than he expected. Out of nowhere, a giant figure with 2 legs walked by. Some might think it was Bigfoot, but this creature looked different from the usual descriptions. Its long arms hung down to its feet. It was much slimmer, and it stooped over more than you'd expect. It seemed to be about 10 feet tall. So what could it have been? This interesting video came from a trail camera in West Central Alberta, Canada. It was shared with the public on January 17th, 2024. The camera was set up to track wolverines in the area, but it ended up capturing something much more surprising. The camera was triggered when a deer peeked from behind a tree and quickly ducked away. But there seemed to be something else lurking behind the same tree. At first, the figure stayed completely still. Then, as soon as the deer moved away, the creature stepped out from hiding. It was incredibly tall, covered in dark fur, and seemed massive. To understand how big it was, remember that the average deer is about 3 feet tall at the head, and this one looked unusually large, making the creature seem even bigger. This video shows what appears to be a creature, possibly a Sasquatch, standing at around 3 feet tall. Normally, these creatures are believed to reach a height of 3 feet, but in the video, Its head rises above a nearby deer despite the sloping terrain. The deer is positioned higher on the slope, while the Sasquatch is lower down. Even so, it appears almost twice as tall as the deer, and it's crouching, suggesting that it could be much taller when fully upright. It's estimated that the creature might stand 7 to 8 feet tall when not squatting. More footage adds to the growing mystery. In pursuit of the elusive Bigfoot, this footage has attracted a lot of attention, leaving many people curious. In another clip, a man named Hunter Peter shows what he claims to be the frozen body of a Bigfoot. The body displays large features, including oversized hands and toes. Its eyes can be seen, and it appears to be male. Hunter Peter compares the size of the Sasquatch's hand to his own and points out the large difference. The frozen body is covered in dark brown fur that looks messy. Its hands are big, and its overall body shape fits typical descriptions of such creatures. The head looks worn and bloody, with closed eyes and sharp, uneven teeth. These details give it a lifelike appearance. Whether this is a real Bigfoot or a well-made model is uncertain. If it's fake, it's convincingly done. But this isn't the biggest question here. The video was released on July 14, 2024, with the tag "Terror" on a roll. Is this footage of a real Bigfoot, or could it be an elaborate trick? The debate continues as people consider whether this is genuine proof of Bigfoot's existence or simply another hoax. In a quiet, forested area, there was a sighting of the well-known and frightening Bigfoot. A video was taken, and when you watch it, you can see two red eyes glowing in the dark, staring into a house from the yard. It's hard to tell exactly what the creature is because the lighting is so dim, but those bright red eyes are unusual. Normal animals don't have eyes that shine like that, which has made some people wonder if this creature could be something from another world. Others think it might be a strange, possibly dangerous animal living deep in the woods. The title of the video even suggests it could be Bigfoot. In another clip, which was recorded by a trail camera, we see what might be the clearest footage of Bigfoot ever. This camera was placed near a river that runs along the border between Oregon and California. It was attached to a branch about 10 feet off the ground. The footage shows a massive, shadowy figure with thick, messy fur. Its face looks eerily like a monkey's, but at the same time, it's clearly not a monkey. But this isn't even the strangest part. Given the height of the camera, which was mounted at 10 feet, it's estimated that the creature is around 8 feet tall since its head comes very close to the camera. The size of its arms and legs, which are clearly visible, adds to the belief that this creature is indeed massive. Recently, some interesting videos and photos have gained attention. They show a large figure with thick, muscular limbs that look too realistic to be just a person in a costume. So far, no one has been able to explain it fully, and experts are still trying to figure it out. Some wonder if it could be Bigfoot. Not long ago, a dashboard camera captured an image around 1 in the morning in a quiet suburb of Anaheim Hills, California. The image shows a dark, hairy figure that looks part human and part ape. Unlike apes, which usually have a hunched posture, this figure stands upright. This has led many to question whether it could be a Sasquatch. Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, is famous for being elusive and hard to find. There have been many photos, videos, and reports of encounters, but the scientific community has never confirmed its existence. Still, many believe in Bigfoot. However, it seems strange that a creature known to avoid humans would appear in a populated area. Some wonder if it's just a clever trick, while others consider the possibility that it might be real. Each new sighting deepens the intrigue, the search for the elusive Bigfoot. But this wasn't the only sighting. On January 3, 2024, a man hiking in the woods found a beautiful, quiet clearing surrounded by trees. He took a photo to capture the moment. Later, when he looked closely at the picture, he noticed something strange. A tall, dark figure covered in black hair standing at the edge of the forest. At first, some thought it was a monkey, but its features suggest something more unusual. These sightings raise the question of whether there is something yet undiscovered lurking in the wild. In a recently shared video called Jabez Cascade Bigfoot, which came out on August 5, 2024, viewers see a large, dark figure bending down far away. This figure seems to be sneaking around until it spots a person close by. It quickly runs off, moving silently. What's odd is the way it walks. Its steps are long and different from how a human would walk. When the video zooms in, the details look so real that some people believe this could be an actual sighting of Bigfoot. The creature, hidden among trees and plants, stands out because of its unusual height, about 10 feet tall, and the way it stands almost like a human. Monkeys and other animals that look like humans don't stand fully upright like this figure does. But even though it looks real, some people think it might just be someone in a very detailed costume. But then, how could a costume make someone so tall and look so real? This creature doesn't match the description of any known animal because of how tall and thin it is. As more people watch the video, they can't help but notice how clear the image is, making the figure look even more real. Still, no one has found any background information about the video, even after lots of searching. This only makes the video more mysterious. But this wasn't the strangest part. The Jabba's Cascade Bigfoot video has certainly caused a lot of excitement and debates. Whether the creature was trying to stay hidden or not, it clearly didn't succeed in escaping unnoticed. As more people discuss and question what they're seeing, the mystery of this figure stays unsolved. Could this really be Bigfoot, or is it just a clever trick? The answer is still up in the air, leaving everyone to wonder. A few years ago, a man in Latvia, a country in northeastern Europe, had a strange encounter in the forest. He came across a creature that looked very unusual. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Similar sightings have been reported all over the world, grabbing the attention of people and sparking debates about whether these creatures are real. The creature in Latvia, which reminded people of Bigfoot, was covered in thick fur and walked on two legs. When it noticed it was being filmed, it quickly ran away and disappeared across a highway. These creatures are often described as large, human-like beings covered in hair. They have been seen in different parts of the world, leading to countless stories and investigations. For example, in the Himalayas, there is a creature known as the Yeti, or the abominable snowman. It is thought to roam the lower forests of the mountain range. This creature is usually described as having big muscles and dark hair. But even though many stories have been told, no solid proof has been found to confirm its existence. In North America, people know of a similar legend called Bigfoot or Sasquatch. This creature is said to be large, hairy, and human-like. Many sightings have been recorded over the years, with people describing its impressive height and a very strong, unpleasant smell. Some say Bigfoot is curious but not dangerous, and it is often seen in quiet, forested areas. Stories from around the world keep the mystery alive, exposing a cryptozoological mystery. But this isn't just a North American mystery. These kinds of creatures have been talked about in places like Australia, where they are called yaoi, and Indonesia, where people refer to them as orang pendek. The size of these creatures seems to vary, with some being shorter and others quite tall. However, one detail remains the same. They are usually described as having thick hair all over their bodies. Local stories and eyewitness accounts add to the many legends about these mysterious beings. Even with all the excitement and stories, many people are still doubtful. Experts often say that these sightings are likely to be a mix of animals being mistaken for something else, practical jokes, or old stories passed down through generations, rather than proof of unknown creatures. One famous case is the Patterson-Gimlin film, which is supposed to show Bigfoot. This footage has been closely examined and debated. Some experts think it's a hoax, while others believe there are details in the video that suggest it might be real. But this wasn't the end of the debate. These strange sightings continue to be a source of fascination, keeping the conversation alive about what these creatures could be, if they are real at all. New reports pop up and interest stays strong, keeping the legend of Bigfoot and similar creatures alive in people's minds and in the scientific world. The road where this happened was empty, suggesting that the area was either deserted or deep in the woods where not many people go. The man, who was just as confused as anyone, had no idea what he had just seen. From the video he captured, it was clear this wasn't a regular animal. Its movements were odd, not like how a human or any known animal would move. It crouched down a little, looked at the man with the camera, and then darted across the road in a strange way, swinging its arms and shoulders in a very unusual manner. Some people who love mysteries and stories about unknown creatures thought it might be Bigfoot. But since this creature was smaller than the usual Bigfoot sightings, others guessed it could be a young Sasquatch. There were also those who wondered if it was an entirely different type of creature, possibly one unique to the Latvia region. But this wasn't the end of the mystery. In June of 2023, another strange event took place. A mother and her daughter were walking along a trail in the same woods. It was a path they had walked many times before, and nothing unusual or scary had ever happened to them on that trail. That day started like any other for people hoping to enjoy some peace in nature. They were soaking in the calm surroundings when suddenly, their quiet day was interrupted by the sight of something large and unknown. It all began when someone noticed a big creature hiding in the bushes along the trail. This sighting caused an immediate stir among the group. Carly was the first to react, shouting to get everyone's attention. Through the trees, they all saw it, an enormous, furry creature. As soon as the creature realized it had been spotted, it quickly turned and dashed back into the woods. Carly, in shock, managed to film the entire thing. Her voice trembled as she called to her daughter, urging her to stay safe. Even though she was scared, she managed to record a clear video of the animal, zooming in to get a closer look. A new clue emerges, sparking more debate: the dark mystery behind the hiker's video. In the video, you can see the creature covered in thick, brown fur. The only parts that weren't covered were its face and hands, which looked quite frightening. The video has sparked a lot of conversation. Some think it might just be a person in a costume because of how neatly the fur looks. But others point out its height, about 8 feet tall, and its wide, strong build, saying it would be hard for a person to look like that. Some have even wondered if it's just a prop or part of some stage scene. But the truth is, no one really knows for sure, leaving everyone with more questions than answers. There's very little information about the video's background. It's not clear where it was filmed or who exactly the person in the video is. What we do know is that it appears to have been taken by a hiker, maybe someone who was vlogging their adventure. The video starts off in a typical way, showing the beautiful scenery around the hiker. Little did he know, something big and strange was lurking behind him, moving quietly through the trees. As the camera moves, you can briefly spot the dark, hairy figure in the background. In a quiet, isolated valley, a man was going about his day, filming the scenery around him without a care. What he didn't know was that something or someone was watching him. When he looked back at the video later, he found something shocking: a large, dark figure that looked a lot like what people call Bigfoot.
It is going to be someone messing with me, and it's going to be a funny joke. You know, they got me good.
This creature had dark fur, a huge frame, and broad shoulders. While it was hard to judge exactly how tall it was because of the distance, it was definitely much taller than the man. This odd event happened on February 21st, but the video didn't show up on TikTok until October 6th. In a different situation, a man was working in a forest using a backhoe for his construction job. What he didn't know was that a hidden trail camera accidentally recorded something much more incredible in the background. A massive figure about 9 feet tall was standing far away watching him. It seemed like the creature was curious about what the man was doing, possibly because it had never seen construction equipment before. The man never saw the figure himself, and if not for the trail camera, no one would have ever known it was there. A surprising comment under the video brought up an interesting point. It said that creatures like this, often called Bigfoot, are known to be curious about construction machinery. This could explain why the figure was watching the man work. Of course, some people thought it might just be a person in a costume, like a gorilla suit. But when you think about how big the creature seemed to be, that idea doesn't seem very likely. But that's not the most puzzling part.
And I ran after it to try to see it myself. I was really terrified at that moment, but I wanted to go investigate and see what I could find.
Here's where it gets even stranger. Sightings like these happen more often than you might think. It's not just random people stumbling across something unusual. There's a pattern. Some believe these creatures might be getting more curious about human activity, especially in places where they aren't usually disturbed. Maybe it's the noise, or maybe they're just watching us the way we watch wildlife. If these creatures are getting curious about us, should we start interacting with them more intentionally? Like, comment, and subscribe for more.